So just tell me again the areas that the Deanery covers.
So we've got Old Felixstowe, which is the north end of the town.
Yeah.
We've got St John's, which is down towards the docks. Then you've got Christchurch. You've got Walton and Trimley, which get really cross if you say they're Felixstowe. So they're definitely Walton and Trimley. And then we've got the Orwell and Deepen rural benefits that goes out lots of villages between here and Martlesham. And then we've got Martlesham with Kesgrave and Little Beelings and Playford.
So there's a real mix of people and demographic within that, isn't there? So you've got, quite a big, one of the biggest towns in Suffolk, here in Felixstowe, and then you've got real rurality actually out in the villages.
Yeah, facing very different needs, I think, across our deanery is because, in places like north end of Felixstowe, Walton and Trimley, huge amounts of building going on, as there's a large amount of building going on with Martlesham at Brightwell Lakes, and there's going to be a similar amount of building projected in northern Felixstowe over the next 15 years. So you're going to have an awful lot of new housing, but obviously within the villages you're getting new housing, but in a much smaller scale of like small developments that are still having an impact on that village. So some of these villages, if you're going to put sort of 15, 20 houses in there, that's probably a percentage difference and increase in the population of that parish, as much as having 500 houses being built on the edge of my parish because of the size. So I think that's one of the issues about how do we, as Church Together in Suffolk, how do we hope to reach out and become engaged and help to build community? Because I think churches are great at helping to build community.
You've got villages that are affluent, wealthy, leafy, beautiful. And then you've got pockets of need within those communities, but then larger, more concentrated areas of need, I would say, within Felixstowe. So just give us a sense of what the challenges are for you and for those who are working within the ministry teams here.
One of the things that's worked really well across Felixstowe is the top-up shops. They started here quite a while ago. They were started by a charity that we ended up partnering with, and we're working really quite closely with, looking at issues around food poverty, food waste. That's one of the huge issues that started up. Trimley, Walton, they've got parish nursing, which is an ecumenical partnership, which does huge amounts of work working with people. They've got a general nurse, they've also got a mental health nurse who's supporting people going through all sorts of challenging times. Here in this bit we've as well as our pop-up shop, we've just started parish nursing ourselves here in an attempt to say, how do we address some of those issues of loneliness and isolation, which seems one of the big issues that we've had. Down at St John's, they've got the parish pit stop, which I know has had quite a lot of publicity. Does amazing good stuff, helping young families in difficult times. Christchurch, they are coming out of that as an organisation called The Compass. It was described to me as about saying, so often we're at the bottom of the cliff trying to rescue people who've fallen off, whereas actually we need to be at the top building a fence to stop them falling off. There's similar work going in sort of like Martlesham and Kesgrave, how it is that we're supporting people, and also in the villages, where lots of the villages where there is that sense of isolation, and often you find people move to nice places when they retire. One of the husband or wife dies, and then the person's often sometimes a little bit isolated, or they move there and their people have moved and they don't have access to transport in the way that they once did. And so people feel quite isolated. So I think there's that sense of social isolation that feels pretty key.
And partnership, really important. Being part of the community, but also part of that group of good people that make a difference. So from the voluntary sector and from how does that feel here?
I'm going to talk more about Felixstowe because the difficulties are because I'll talk about the deanery. I've got a bit of a grasp, but not as much, and I don't want to get it massively wrong. What I'd have noticed here, when we came here, I came here from having been involved in villages, and I thought, we could do this and we could do this, and I got here, and there was already loads of good stuff that's happening in the town. So there's a wonderful charity that we support as our church called the Hope Trust. It says nobody in our friendly town should be lonely, is I think their tagline. And they say they work with older people, which they define as over 50, which is clearly wrong because that's not us.
I was going to say, I need to change that immediately.
But it does amazing work, and I just thought, so why do we need to do exactly what they're already doing?
Yeah.
There's no, we don't need to do that, and so we try to look at what's already happening and think, okay, how can we add value? So one of the things that our parish nursing team have done just recently, they've just started to do. People wanting to go out and have lunch. People often who have been widowed or whose partners are in a care home are thinking, I want to go out, but I don't want to go out on my own. So they host a lunch, but we host it in our local pub. So there's places for people to come together, but it's not like we're not having to do it all because, I know I'm talking about my parish, but that's just going to be easy for me. There's a community market that runs once a month up in Old Felixstowe. We try to have presence there and just be there to talk to people. And things like the parish nursing, which I know happens in Walton as well, they'll be there taking, they did blood pressures one week, and people just went and had blood pressures and got the accurate readings, and some of them were sent off to go and see their GP rather urgently. Yes. But it's trying to be with people where they already are and working out what's already going on, rather than saying, oh, we've got to do this because the church does this and this is what works. So that's one of the things. We also work, there's a Churches Together in Felixstowe support Boost, which is a charity which provides chaplaincy into our high school and one of our local primary schools. And that's a great example of churches coming together, and it's been going for about 25 years now in its various different iterations. But to me, that's a sense of really encouraging, because the churches are working together. Of course we are the parish church, but we're not parochial in the negative, because that's often seen in a negative way.